This week we're back at our ComAv project and we're going to show you how we integrated our floor vents into our wood floor. We're also going to take a sneak peek at that monostringer. So a reoccurring theme over at this project is doing things out of order. For example, behind me, underneath this temporary staircase, is a stainless steel monostringer. This is installed way before we're even into the finishes, but it's a finished product, which is why it's wrapped up. And why was it so important that we installed this now? Well, it was craned to the roof, hand delivered, and installed before our hardwood flooring. Well, you're probably thinking our hardwood flooring isn't going in for a while, but you're wrong. Our hardwood flooring is actually installed now. And that detail between the stainless steel monostringer and the hardwood flooring had to be done systematically. The hardwood flooring is installed prior to us doing blueboard and plaster because our flush baseboard detail. We're gonna actually install our baseboard prior to plaster, and that's gonna give us a surface to screed our plaster walls off to get a really true and flush detail. The flooring you've probably seen in our Instagram recently is we've worked with the HVAC contractor as well as our floor guys to come up with a really cool linear slot diffuser. In a previous episode, we talked about hydronic heat and how we're using that for the primary heating source within this home. Well, we also have a heat pump system that's going to offer heating in the shoulder seasons, but primarily be our air conditioning system. It feeds two Unico high velocity systems. If you guys aren't familiar with high velocity systems, you've probably seen it before. There are 2-inch round outlets in the floor or the ceiling. Well, aesthetically, that wasn't really hitting the mark with the client, so we wanted to start looking into linear slot diffusers. Ultimately, what we came up with was we were gonna build this into our flooring as well as our plaster. Now, before you ask, yes, you cannot remove the grate to clean it from that side. If you ever did need to service it, you were able to do so from the unit. Very similar to if you were to clean it with the vendor supplied linear slot diffuser. Let's go downstairs and talk with Pat, and he's gonna walk us through how he achieved this really slim, built-in linear slot diffuser in our white oak flooring. These are kind of the two options. This is the more traditional one you're gonna see. This is for a ceiling detail where it's plastered in, but they also make them in oak, and here is that linear slot diffuser. So Pat, you guys actually took the idea from this. We got rid of the round ones altogether, and we took this idea, we got rid of the cover, and this is the guts of it, right?
Right.
I wanna walk through, here's where our ductwork connects to, and this is, it looks like it actually has some insulation on it, must be to kill some of the sound, but you're ending up with this square diffuser. I want to walk through how you guys achieved this in the hardwood floor, because I know there's a lot of steps. So why don't we jump down here? Okay. This is a finished look. First off, I love the fact that these are taped up. Traditionally, you're setting these flush with the floor and you're putting a cap on it and you're done. But here we don't have a cap. We have a very minimal contemporary design here. This is actually a finished design, which goes back to my point about doing things out of order and being really careful with this right in the middle of construction. But walk us through the process you took to the time you set this, how you determined your elevation, and how you ended up with this really clean result.
Setting the height of this began with our subfloor, and we built up the layers to account for our hydronic floors and our Retropol, our soundproofing layer. So that's 3/4 of an inch, which is actually the height of this. We knew we wanted to hit the bottom of that wear layer with our top of our outlet because we didn't want to see any of the plywood. We wanted to make it look like it's 100% oak.
Right, so final elevation is really top of plastic is 1/4 inch lower than our finished floor.
Exactly.
This is engineered oak, and a wear layer is the solid piece of oak attached to the Baltic birch core. So solid oak doesn't have a wear layer, it's all one material. When you get into the wider stuff, the engineered is, more common. Just to explain what wear layer is. What we're trying to achieve is top of plastic is 1/4 inch below finished floor. And that's because you're trying to account for the wear layer overhanging this plastic edge.
Exactly.
Because I'm looking in here and I can't see the plastic. But I'm also noticing that this right here is probably the inside diameter rather than the outside diameter, which it traditionally would be. But so walk me through the processes that you took in taking this board, because I know you worked with Will and the guys over at Premier Woodcrafting when they were installing this. We were actually taking the time to build the jig and slot these for them to install. Walk me through the time that they run their floor and they're ready for this piece to be put in. How are you then taking that board and achieving this look while this is already fixed to your subfloor?
So basically, it was essential that we kind of stayed ahead of them, and we worked together with them to get to this point. And what they would do is they would build their flooring out, until they got to this piece. They would give us the piece they wanted that matched, you know, what their seam distance and everything.
Because I'm seeing it looks like you have a center mark here, a center mark here, and it's actually sketched out. So you're transferring their board or your duct location to that board.
Yeah, we're using the fixed points that you know, from installed pieces, and we're transferring over our measurements onto our new piece that we want. The key point was finding the center line, the exact center of our slot, and then we were able to drill a hole through our piece to mark the center of our outlet on the bottom.
So you're then flipping that board over.
Exactly, yeah, we're flipping that board over and we're hogging out our bottom 1/4 inch wider than our opening. What worked well with our jig system is we actually used 1/8 inch piece of MDF. We set it on top of our jig, and then we were able to just route out 1/8 inch of a time without setting the depth and changing our router bit.
Gotcha.
So that worked out really well just to keep it efficient, because we had to stay ahead of the floor guys.
Sure.
That was important.
So you're only hogging out that Baltic birch core, leaving the wear layer.
Exactly. Once we hogged it down to the bottom of this wear layer, we were able to flip it back over. We knew we had our center point, and then we just marked pretty precisely, I shouldn't say roughly, we marked our edges and our slot, and then we were able to, on our jig, line up our centers again. And we put center marks on our jigs so that everything was going off the center of this outlet.
Sure.
Because if our flooring came up and it was a little out of square,
right,
or not perfect with our slot, we knew our slots were exactly 4 inches off the wall after finish, but we didn't know the orientation of the flooring at that point.
Sure.
We put the grate in.
So the grate is friction fit into the bottom core.
Yeah.
And then when you slide this floor over, this has been finish routed, and I just cut you off, but now you're siliconing this ductwork to the bottom side of that.
Yeah, so we ran a bead of black silicone in our oversized channel.
Sure.
On the bottom.
And that silicone kind of helps prevent any air from escaping underneath the floor and directing it all to the outside.
Exactly, and that's really all I was doing. And then this is a glue install, a glue and nail install. So we had the floor installers run a thick bead of glue around our outlet as well, just to help with that air escape.
Which further proves the point that this isn't coming out. This is a final detail.
Yeah.
We're not adding registers to the very end of this job. This is final. And we just got a color approval for the floor. We're gonna be putting a white stain on this, so protect this black plastic, silicone, and grate is gonna be really important to maintain a really great looking final detail. Much better than this thing, because I don't think that would have looked as good. Pat, you guys did a fantastic job. I know Will and his guys had a lot to do with it, as well as Patrick, Lasana, and Nick. So stellar detail. Guys, as always, we appreciate you watching. Make sure you follow along at our ComAv project. We're gonna start getting into our baseboard detail, as well as our flush plaster detail. And we're gonna be talking about waterproof plaster in the bathrooms. As always, I'm NS Builders on Instagram. What's your handle?
It's Pat.Farrington1, but
that's all right.
Not too busy on there.
DM him, let him know you want to see more out of him. But hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and we will see you next time.